We've been talking about computers, and computers are everywhere, and anyone with children will see their children interacting with computers all the time. And, you know, no wonder some of the kids are getting bored in the classroom, given what they're doing outside the classroom. There was comments about, is it about making learning fun? I think it's about making learning relevant. And, you know, Conrad said assessment is key, but then we heard a comment about the 3.5-year-old being assessed on 1, 2, 2.5. I'm not sure we should be assessing 3.5-year-olds, that we should be letting them play a bit more. And qualifications shouldn't drive the curriculum. They should be there as a facilitator. The assessment should be facilitating, not driving, and certainly some comments about that this morning. I too have been to Disneyland, Paris, if that counts. I didn't learn anything apart from how tiring it is and how €8 a hot dog times 6 people costs quite a lot of money. So there's a bit of maths there, and I had a Sinclair Spectrum, not a ZX81. Anyway, we were really delighted to sponsor this event, and OCR is a part of Cambridge Assessment. Tim Oates, you heard this morning from Cambridge Assessment, and we're part of Cambridge University, ultimately. And we're a not-for-profit organisation. Qualifications and assessment is our business, and we're there to help raise the standards in education. That's what we're about. Is there a problem with maths? I've heard some fairly high-level stuff this morning. I just think actually there's some really basic problems with maths, and sorry to the 25 countries here, I use some UK references. I mean, I was a college principal for 5 years, and what I saw at 16 coming into my college was really scary in terms of the inability to do the basics of maths. So there's definitely something wrong there. And if you watch The Young Apprentice, they were making ice cream the other week, and one team couldn't work out, this is 16-year-olds, couldn't work out the ratios of ingredients for making that ice cream. I was watching Millionaire a couple of years ago, graduate on Millionaire, £25,000 question, 100 times 100, and it was a multiple choice question, and they got it wrong. So, you know, we've got some problems. I was in hospital, the nurse overdosed me because she couldn't work out her ratios. And my little game with my managers, I always test out their percentages, and it'd be amazing how many of them add up their percentages to get an average. You know, there are clearly some fundamental problems around, and we need to do something about it. But we need to understand, we've got to get all the players, we've got to get the schools, the universities, the employers together and understand what it is they want from young people. That's vital. What is the use of maths? What is it we want from it? I think Conrad said the better deployment of the wrong subject is not the answer. Very, very telling. So, you know, maths means different things to different people, and I had a few dictionary definitions for numeracy, arithmetic, unlocking the secrets of the universe. You've all got computers in front of you, so you can look those up in the dictionary in your own time. But what's clear is, you know, everyone has their different definition, but the system isn't delivering. It isn't delivering the young people with the mathematical skills that we need. They don't carry what society is demanding from them. And that's, you know, even in just everyday life. They're struggling in everyday life because they don't have those skills. So some of it is about what is the real-world maths we need as well, because we've got to make sure those students at least get those real-world maths. And how do we engage students in maths? We heard a lot of that this morning. What's the engagement? We've got to engage them, because otherwise that common thing about maths is boring always comes through, and they drop the subject or they drop the interest. From an exam board's perspective, mathematics is, you know, is even wider. We have a whole range of qualifications: basic skills, key skills, functional skills, GCSEs at 16, A-levels at 18, and they're meant to recognise different competencies. You know, at 16, doing a GCSE maths, what does that actually mean? What is it a proxy for? And everyone seems to think it's for different things. Employers are very disappointed when they get a grade C GCSE student into their employment and they can't do some simple problem solving that's put in front of them. But then other people expect GCSEs to be a progression through to Maths A-level. And, you know, and Maths A-level, what's that for? Is that progression to university? Is it preparing for a different university subject rather than just pure maths. There's a real challenge there about what we're saying maths is, and we have to sort that one out first before we design the curriculum and the assessments that go with it. You know, maybe one of the suggestions we heard this morning was 2 types of maths. You know, 2 types of maths GCSE, 2 types of maths A-level. One maybe for the mathematicians and one for other disciplines. Maybe you should have a maths for economics, a maths for social sciences, maths for science, etc. But then think about the practicalities, especially at GCSE. At what point does the teacher say, well, this is the maths route you need to take, this is the maths route you need to take? It's almost impossible to demand that of our teachers in our schools, of large groups of students going through. So it comes back to that cornerstone again of understanding what we mean about maths. And we have to deal with the public perception. You know, as an exam board, we always suffer that public perception of dumbing down. You know, are we dumbing down? Are we making it more accessible? You know, we need that debate. We need to understand what the public wants as well. So there's something suboptimal here. We often get accused, because we're the ones assessing, we are very tightly constrained by the government, QCA in the past, Ofqual, what we produce. And we would love the freedom to produce a lot more. And you know, part of the debate going on at the moment is allowing us that freedom, allowing us to look at different ways of dealing with maths. Those exams have to validate the level of skills, knowledge and understanding demonstrated by the students, and we want to create the best qualifications around that, but we need to understand, as I said, what those key elements are. We are serious about this. The press statement went out yesterday that maths is flawed, and the Telegraph and the Mail picked it up, which maybe tells us something about you know, the views on maths and in employment. But we haven't got the answer at OCR either. You know, I'm not sure you have the answer here today yet. I look forward to the end when we do get the answer. But you know, we're launching it. We've got a maths forum already with about 30 people sitting on it. We're launching a maths council. We're trying to find out what the key issues are and trying to get some agreement of what the core is so that we can then create qualifications around it. I did do maths. I did maths and further maths at school, and I thought I'd continue. I thought I was a great mathematician. Went and did my economics degree at Cambridge, and then decided to switch the maths unit to economic development, as I realised I'd reached my limit at that point. But also, I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and a lot of people think that's all to do with maths, but looking around at the people who qualified with me, they were from all sorts of disciplines, and certainly not great mathematicians. So again, you know, that comes back to that, what is maths about? Certainly accountancy was something very different. So I want to finish with a number of sort of key questions that have been raised really this morning, and some of the questions we're thinking about. Firstly, is Conrad right in saying stop teaching calculating, start teaching maths? You know, is that right? You know, you could argue, when you've invented the wheel, why are you still walking? Is that same sort of argument? We've got something that can do the calculating. And at what point do we stop teaching that calculating? Is it at 6? You know, is it at 14? Is it 16? Is it at 18? Where do we draw that line? Is it sort of at long division? No need to calculate that anymore because, you know, we've got a computer to do that, or a calculator even. Do the sort of ideas of what we should be teaching stack up? You know, we've got to specify, I think it was mentioned this morning, specify the understanding, not the technology. What is it we want the students to understand? And most importantly of all, what is the maths we should be teaching and how should we be assessing it? There was a lot of comment about we need to allow computers into the room. We've had enough trouble, as an example, getting calculators into the room, and I think it's 7 or 8 times they've been in and out of the exam halls over the last few years. So there's a real challenge there. You know, you're talking about something, another step forward in terms of getting those computers into the room. So that's the sort of perspective from an exam board, and as I said, we've been very pleased to support this event. Thank you.